Hi, and welcome to the latest in Digital Spy's video reviews of the biggest movies around. This time we're looking at Terminator Dark Fate, and if you like what you see, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel below for more of our video content. I'm Ian, and if I could time travel to any time, it would be 1977 to watch Star Wars A New Hope for the first time without any spoilers.
That's a really good one. I should have thought of that. My name is Gabriella. I'm the Deputy Movies Editor, and if I could travel to any point in time, it would be the 80s, so I could be in a Guns N' Roses video and give my hair the due it finally deserves.
It deserves it.
Yeah, it does.
Terminator Dark Fate is a direct sequel to Terminator 2 Judgment Day and picks up 25 years later when there's definitely not an apocalypse on the way, right?
No, we're fine.
Yeah, totally fine. And yet somehow a new Terminator arrives from the future and Sarah Connor must swing back into action again to protect the future.
Or the present?
The future, I think.
Well, the present. The Terminator's there. In the present.
Timey-wimey.
Timey-wimey.
My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997. It was supposed to be Judgment Day. But I changed the future. Saved 3 billion lives. Enough of a resume for you.
First things first, guys, don't worry, this is actually a good Terminator movie. And for you, Gabriella, it reminded you of a certain recent reboot as well.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I felt like it had a lot of similarities to The Force Awakens in the sense that, and actually you were the one who kind of pointed this out to me, is that it really followed a lot of similar beats and patterns to Judgment Day in the same way that The Force Awakens harkened back to A New Hope.
Yeah.
I thought that was really clever because you link it to something that is nostalgic for the old fans, but also has these fresh new characters to bring in new fans. So I felt like it really bridged that gap really well.
Yeah, and the other thing for me as well, like it's got the simplicity of the first Terminator. There are time elements in there, but it never feels confusing or complex. Like Genesis really tried really hard to come up with this brand new timeline and fit into the old one, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Whereas this is very much Terminator, Sarah Connor must kill it, basically, and it's that straightforward.
And sometimes that's all you need, really.
Totally, yeah, I mean, all you're really in for these films are a bit of sci-fi action,
Yep.
and that's kind of just what you need. And I think that's what Tim Miller realised. It just has to be stripped back to basics, and I think that's why it works so well.
Definitely.
And of course, Arnie's been back many times before, but this is the first time that Linda Hamilton has reprised her role as Sarah Connor since Judgment Day. And how did you feel? How have the years changed her?
Well, that's really interesting.
Without spoilers, obviously.
No spoilers. The years obviously are going to have an effect on anybody. It's a long time. You change a lot as a person. And so I think for Linda Hamilton to come back, and she said this in interviews before, it really had to be something impressive and different and meaningful for her to come back to the role. And I felt it was. I really felt like you get another angle as to who she is.
Yeah, it totally feels like even though she's saved the world, she's still stuck in the past. She's still very much stuck with that kind of frame, and I think the movie plays well on that. Like, she has opinions that you wouldn't necessarily expect from a strong female character.
Yeah.
Of like one of the archetypal strong female characters.
Yeah.
Which I think plays well against it. And with Arnie, she has the same rapport and chemistry. It's a very different Arnie now, but how did you like their relationship again this time around?
I thought it was great. I really felt like, you know, it could become tired when you have these same characters and the same kind of dynamics. And I think in this case, there was enough new material there between them that they still have the same chemistry, but the relationship is very different now.
Yeah, and we won't obviously say why, but there's obviously something that happens near the start that probably will surprise fans. And Linda Hamilton herself has said that,
that
you'll
it's a
shock
shocker.
fans, so that's a treat in store when you go and see it in cinemas.
I know you're scared, but I'm here to protect you.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human.
But what did you think of the new cast? Like Mackenzie Davis plays Grace, who's essentially the good Arnie from Terminator 2. How did you feel
much.
they all settled in with this new central duo?
I feel like it was really interesting to watch the kind of previous generation and the new generation in a similar way to The Force Awakens, like we mentioned before. In particular, Mackenzie Davis, I think, did a great job with Grace because that character lives in this gray space between man and machine. And she has this kind of cyborg element to her, but also a very deep kind of human pathos. And she brings that really well, particularly, I thought, weirdly maybe, in the action scenes, because you watch Rev 9, played by Gabriel Luna,
who I thought was great in the role as
Yeah,
well. Like
he was
he
super
plays that
compelling.
blank Terminator-driven thing really well. 'cause
Without
it can
being
go-
flat.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but he has that kind of like singular goal, right? He's there to terminate someone and nothing else is going to get in his way. Whereas Grace has that same capability to enact those physical things, but she's got other motivations and other things kind of going on in her frame of mind. So you really could see each of their characters developing in the way that they did their action scenes and the choreography. And I felt like particular Grace was really well fleshed out that way.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing that surprised me the most as well is Natalia Reyes as Dani Ramos, who is essentially the Sarah Connor of this film. It could be quite an unforgiving role because essentially she's just there to be saved. But again, the film plays against those expectations pretty well from anyone who knows those original films. And I thought she did a great job. Like, she's someone you totally empathise for, and you can understand why someone would want to save her.
Yeah, and there's always that element of like the reluctant hero aspect of it, and I think she plays into that without it being frustrating when you're with someone. And as much as, not to cast shade on any other franchise, but after a while with Harry Potter, you get a bit sick of him whining about it. Like, just get on with it, save the wizards. Anyway, so I felt like Dani really, you watch her change and grow in the role over the course of the 2 hours and 8 minutes. And yeah, she really develops. It's a really good character arc for her.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
And you brought it up there, it's just over 2 hours long, probably up to 2 hours up to the credits, I'd probably say. Did you feel that the pacing was right? Because the problem with the likes of Salvation and Genesis, I felt, is that they felt as long as they were.
Yes, yeah.
Did you feel the same?
I definitely could tell it was long, but I felt like with each scene, just as you got to the point where you might be going, okay, what's gonna happen? They moved it. They were able to kind of keep it going. And I think a lot of it was that they physically moved a lot. They weren't in one location, and it wasn't from point A to point B. They really traveled quite a bit, and that helps keep it moving.
Yeah, for me, there's definitely one part in it where you could easily take it out or merge it with something else to speed it up a little bit, because there are certain things that are coming, and it takes a while to get there. And that was pretty much the only complaint. But I think once it starts, the action scenes I felt are scattered throughout it at right times, that you never get bored of the action, but you also never get bored of, oh, and here's the latest plot exposition, here's some action scene. Like, it felt pretty blended well together.
Yeah, and I think the action scenes themselves were also really diverse from each other. You had so many different kinds of action scenes in different places and different items and whatnot. We won't spoil that for you. And yeah, so I felt like that also helped keep it fresh. When you think of a movie, which I feel like I wasn't talking about this, I loved Venom. I know that's like the most trash opinion ever, but I really liked Venom. But the complaint
please.
The complaint I would have is that the action choreography there felt very samey over and over and over again. So it was hard to tell where you were in the movie based on the action alone. Whereas with Terminator Dark Fate, you really could tell, not only because the characters physically changed in each action scene based on them getting better and knowing each other, but also just physically where they were and the things they had on hand. It really helped move the story.
Yeah. It felt as well, there was a weight to it as well. Like, we both recently saw Gemini Man, and those fight scenes, because he's going up against a CGI character, there's no impact, there's no weight. It feels soft because he's not actually really hitting anything. Whereas here, even with the CGI, which is actually surprisingly good, like from the original trailer, I was really worried about what the Rev 9 looked like outside of like the Terminator skeleton, but you don't really notice any bits in it where you're like, well, that's clearly CGI. Like, it's generally pretty good, and all of the fight scenes have this weight to it. It feels like classic Terminator metal on bone type action, and that's what feels really great. My only worry is that when it comes to the climax and you get like the big extended scene that carries on after you think the action's finished, because it all takes place at night, I felt it was a little bit murky. It was a little bit hard to tell exactly what was going on, because it's just not framed as well as the fights earlier on in the film, or it's certainly not as engaging as the one.
I would agree with you there. I think also that fight, it could have been a little cleaner. Yeah, I would say I would agree with you there.
If you don't make it, everybody dies.
Expect a big pain, brother. The whole body's a weapon. Sorry.
Like with Terminator Genesis, this certainly feels like it's set up to continue on, and you can see certainly where Dark Fate will go next. Unlike with Genesis, are you actually excited to see what happens next?
Yes, I'm so excited. I think they did a really good job of setting it up without making it feel like the whole point of the movie was the setup,
Yeah.
which I think is a delicate balance to strike. So yeah, I'm definitely excited.
Yeah. And I think it's also on the off chance that this doesn't do well at the box office, but hopefully it will compared to the other ones. If it did have to end here, it still feels like a whole movie. It doesn't feel like, oh, you can't watch it because it's basically half a movie. It feels like there's an arc and it ends, but you can see where it goes next, which I think is one of the strong parts.
Definitely.
When this is all over, I am going to kill you.
I understand.
Terminator Dark Fate is out now in UK cinemas and will be released in the US on November 1st. Thanks for watching. If you've liked what you've seen, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel below for more of our video content. Thanks, bye.